Welcome to a new episode of Feeding the World, Mercosur Business News. Today, I have the privilege of welcoming one of the people I admire the most in Uruguay, somebody that has really inspired me all these last 15 years, somebody that has truly believed in me and my career all this time, somebody who's always ready to help me and support me, and somebody who is also a referent to everybody in this country, and probably in our neighboring countries as well, when we talk about cattle, agriculture, science, research, and agri-food in general. So José Bonica, it's a pleasure having you here.
Thank you, Gabby, for inviting me. It's really my pleasure.
Thank you. José is not only a rice farmer and producer, but he has an impressive career. He was the president of the Rural Association in Uruguay, also the Secretary General of the World Hereford Council, and also the president of the National Agricultural Research Institute, INEA. And today we're going to focus on a particular crop, which you probably don't associate Uruguay with, but is very important for our exports, and that's rice. So, José, if you could maybe summarize to us the importance of rice to Uruguay, to our economy.
But before that, let me say that I'm a farmer, as my parents were, as my grandparents were, coming from a long, many generations, okay? And that's really the big title for me, being a farmer. Okay, rice. Uruguay is very important producing food. And we are in the top 10 exporters in many products. Rice is one of them. We export 95% of all the rice that we produce. We don't need too much here, because the 5% that we don't export, the funny thing is that almost half of it, or even a little bit bigger than half of it, is used as seed for the next season. So we eat really very, very little rice. But we are very good producers. We are very effective. We are on the top yields, number 1 or number 2 worldwide. And that brings some very good news, because what customers are looking for. That means we use the intensity of water per kilo of rice that we need to produce in Uruguay is the smallest in the world. And the amount of methane that we are liberating to the atmosphere is the smallest in the world. So this means that our product has many qualifications, apart from others, that are the final consumers are looking for.
So what markets do we export to?
Oh, well, okay. We export, some of it goes to South America, Brazil and Peru, basically. Then to Central America, Mexico and other countries. But Europe is a very peculiar market, a very, very peculiar market.
In what way?
Well, it's they want to know what we do with the environment to produce rice. And so we feel we are confident of what we are doing, but we pay attention to what they demand and we fix our production systems so to please them. And one of those things, this is quite new for the last 2 rice seasons, is there are some certifications going on. Okay, if they need certification, we start testing it in a small size. We saw that it was not a big deal for farmers so now everybody's going on this way. The whole rice association of all rice growers are willing to do this. The rice mills are willing to do this, so they're moving on that way.
How does the chain work in terms of integration? So you have the farmers, you have the mills. Are they integrated or are they different?
No, they work very close together. One of the peculiar things maybe is how they have a price for each season, which is one single price, and it's negotiated among growers and the industry. Okay, there is a formula to do it. So it's the export price minus the costs, the industrial costs, and if there is, if they make money, they remain with a little bit, and the rest go to the growers. And this is settled and discussed every year. Even if there is a formula, it is discussed. But not only for the price. It's also the same for research, where growers and the industry come to research and they discuss every year what do we need, what we should be looking for, what do we need to innovate, what knowledge we need to innovate. And so the history of rice, particularly yields in rice, is mostly always increasing, always increasing, depending on climate, of course. But there's one clear tendency that we are producing more rice per hectare every year.
I know that we're right at what we call the frontier, right? The technological frontier in terms of yield. It's very difficult now to make that step and produce more per hectare. If we wanted to do it, what else do we need?
Well, no, we're working on whatever you do. Basically, in agriculture, you need good health, you need good genetics, and you need good management. And here in Uruguay, it's also disregards not just for the crop, in this case rice, but for the system. Because all the food we produce is done above a soil. And we must pay attention that the soil health is good. So it's almost the same for other crops, but if you think in a particular piece of a farm, there will be rice maybe 2 years in a row, but then other improved pastures will come afterwards, thinking in the soil. And the beef production that goes there will increase above, because usually in beef terms, the rice areas are below average in fertility and things. But once you have improved pastures, these things changes. So we are dealing with everything on the system, and it's lovely. If you go to a rice farm, it's not just a rice farm. It's a rice, usually it's also beef, and there's also wildlife there. Not only in birds, in insects, but also in forests, in trees. It's really amazing how many things cohabit, if I may use that term, on the same place, or one close to another, all taking profit, all enjoying their experience.
Because that tends to be one of the criticisms, isn't it, for rice, that once you produce rice, then it's one crop. But a lot of people don't see that maybe in the same ecosystem you got so many species living together, as you were saying.
Well, yes, because we produce rice maybe not on the way most of the way in the world does. We prepare the soil on dry basis, the same as for wheat. Then we seed the rice, and once the rice is growing, then we flood it. Only then we flood it. Okay. So our rice fields are flooded only 3 months a year, not more than that. And we take the water away before harvest. So we use as little as water as possible. But we produce, because of our weather and because all the things that man is given the rice, very good yields, the top ones. But we have to increase them every year. It's not enough. We are not making enough money. So we have to increase our competition. We have to produce more per hectare. And every year we're trying to do that. With small steps, yes, but on a constant way. Every year better than the year before, or at least the tendency.
Yeah. And you were mentioning genetics, and I know there's a lot of Inia rice varieties. They keep coming up. When I go to trade shows, there's Inia, this variety, Inia, that variety. So how does it work in terms of developing new varieties of rice for export markets? How do you all work together, farmers, scientists, industry?
Well, no, we have to tell the researchers what the market is looking for and what we need, and so that scientists would look for that kind of grain. But we also have to tell them how our soils work, with how weeds behave. So the plant also have to be adapted to that environment before producing that grain that will be exported. So for that, there must be a lot of knowledge exchange between who's selling the rice, who's producing the rice, the researchers. You have to work as a team. And when I mean team, think either in rugby or football or whatever you want. There are different jobs, different responsibilities, but it's the team who wins the match.
I agree. It's a bit like filming a podcast. It's the team that wins the match. And one more question, please, Jose. In terms of the Mercosur European Union trade agreement, how is that likely to affect you?
Well, no, for rice, basically good news, because Uruguay is the most important exporter from Mercosur into Europe. So, plus what this agreement plus certifications will make trade much easier. Okay, much easier. But already, what we are already exporting, the amount between this agreement is very small. But we will continue, and I think we will be more confident and to work closer with Europe, definitely.
What markets do we want to develop?
Markets we want to develop? All of them. No, this is a good question. Once or some years ago in Uruguay, to be efficient, we tried to produce one single quality of rice. We call it American quality. And that gave us a lot of efficiency. But now we know there are very different niches around the world. And we are starting to have a different policy, a different strategy, producing different kinds of rice for different niches. And this is true not only for rice. If you allow me, in Uruguay we are 3.5 million people, but we produce food for 30 million, and we could, in short time, be producing food for 50 million. But the world population is 8 billion people. So we must focus not to feed the world, we must focus to feed those who want to eat what we produce. So we have to pay attention to the consumer, the final consumer, and tell them our story. Not just the product, not just the quality, it's also a story behind. We have to tell her. But that's, for farmers, it's not that easy to do that because we are used to go to the farm to work. But we are not, up to now, we didn't pay attention or we didn't realize how important it is to tell the story. So this is a new challenge that the market is bringing to us, and we have to grab it and be with it and satisfy our customers. Not only producing good products, but also telling the real stories that must be believed, because it's not just a story, it has to be something true and confident.
Yeah, there's a lot of concerns around what we call greenwashing, which is like, telling a nice story, but without any scientific basis. And you were talking about challenges. I'm thinking there's also a lot of opportunities here, don't you?
Well, challenges could be good opportunities or new problems because you have to do something different. Okay, I agree with that. It's something different. There must be an extra effort. Yes, of course. But maybe the reward is even bigger, or much more important. And just to see the smile on your customer could be an excellent reward.
I completely agree. I think we need to round up now, but I would like to thank you for being here today. We could talk endlessly, as we have done in the past. I know about your passion about cattle and your Herefords in particular, and also about your passion for New Zealand and the UK, and about Uruguay in particular, and also the work you've done integrating different actors in the supply chain. So before we close, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Just it's a pleasure to be here with you. As you said, you mentioned 15 years?
Yes.
Okay, so we can continue talking for another 15 years for sure.
So. I hope so.
Just to remind that there is some responsibilities within the farm, but there is also responsibilities that has to be done outside the farm. And that's what we try to help others. It's only that. Not only our work in the farm, but also outside the farm.
I completely agree. So thank you, Jose. And this very special rum comes all the way from Paraguay, which is another Mercosur member, and is for you. It's got a lovely history behind. And I hope you enjoy it with your family at your farm. and remember all these years of working together. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much. About Mercosur, we are not as old as the European Union, but we are looking forward. It is the same region. We have many things in common. We have to act together. And so thank you for this gift from our brothers from Paraguay.
From Paraguay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
nice having you.
Gabriela.
Thank you. So this is how we round up another episode of Mercosur Business News, feeding the world from this gorgeous setting at UMA, the best rooftop bar in Punta del Este in Uruguay. See you again soon.